Congratulations, you just accepted one of the most complex leadership roles in public education, and nobody gave you a real roadmap. I'm Eric Oxford, owner of Oxford Education Consultancy, and over the past decade, I served as a special education and student services director and supported many districts through my consultancy: urban, rural, suburban, districts big and small. I've walked into broken departments, stable ones, and everything in between. And during my time as a director, I made every mistake you're about to make until I built a framework that changed how I approached the first 90 days. And that framework is what this video is all about. Here's what nobody tells you before you start. You probably walked into your new role to find one of a few conditions: a department where the previous director was loved and you are the unwanted replacement. Or, on the other side, a department where the previous director struggled and everyone wants you to fix everything immediately. Or a department that's been running on autopilot for so long that nobody's sure what's actually going on or working. And honestly though, and in most cases, you walked into some type of combination of all three. And from day one, you're being watched by your staff, by your principals, by your superintendent, by your union, by your school committee, the ones that hired you, and most importantly, by the families of every student with an IEP and/or 504 plan in your district. Every decision you make in the first 90 days, or don't make, sends a signal about who you are and how you lead. The instinct most new directors have is to act immediately. That was me. To fix things, to show that they came in with a plan, to roll their sleeves up and hit the ground running, to save the world. But I promise you that instinct will get you in trouble. The directors who struggle in year one almost always made the same mistake. They moved to strategy before they understood what they actually inherited. They reorganized caseloads without understanding the workload reality. They changed procedures without understanding why the old ones even existed. They moved fast, and with that fast pace, they broke trust that they didn't even know they had. The directors who succeed do something different. They listen before they act. They diagnose before they prescribe. And they build credibility before they spend it. One of the simplest and most powerful pieces of advice I received early on in my career as a special ed administrator, though after I made several mistakes, is that slow and steady does indeed win the race. When supporting new directors, I organized the first 90 days into 3 phases. Each phase has a different job, a different leadership posture, and a different set of actions. Phase 1, weeks 1 and 2. You're the Anthropologist. Phase 2, weeks 3 through 6, the Diagnostician. And with phase 3, weeks 7 through 12, you are the Strategist. Let's go through each one together. Phase 1 is the Anthropologist. Your job in weeks 1 and 2 is to not fix anything. Your job is to observe, listen, understand. An anthropologist walks into a new culture and doesn't immediately tell people what they're doing wrong. They watch. They ask questions, they map the terrain. That's what you need to do. In these first 2 weeks, try to have a one-on-one conversation with every member of your direct team. Make it a priority. And this is not a performance conversation, it's just a listening one. There are 4 questions that will tell you almost everything, so lead with these 4, if nothing else. 1, what's working well that I should make sure not to break? 2, what's been a persistent challenge nobody's been able to solve? 3, what do you wish the person in my role understood about your job? And finally, what would make the biggest difference for students in this district if we got it right? Log every single answer, but don't commit to anything. Don't agree with the complaints, just listen and document. And here's what you're mapping as you listen. 7 operational domains. 1, leadership alignment, system stability, data health, staffing fitness, program fidelity, culture strength, and partnership health. And you're not scoring any of these yet. You're just listening. You're just noticing the signals. Does the staff describe getting different directions from different leaders? Do they describe processes as predictable, or it depends? Do they talk about data with confidence or with frustration? Do you hear, we're stretched, or we can never keep up? You're building a picture of the department from the inside. That picture will be different from what you were told in your interview. It will be different from what your superintendent believes, and more accurate than both. Phase 2 is a diagnostician. This is weeks 3 through 7. Now apply structure to what you heard. The critical discipline of phase 2 is separating what looks good from what actually is good. Every department presents as a version of itself that is more organized, more functional, and more compliant than it actually is. The binders get tidied when a new director arrives. Processes get described that actually haven't been consistently followed for years. Data gets cleaned up, and your job is to find out exactly what that department looks like on a typical Tuesday, not the Tuesday that you walked in on your first day in the job. And you're not auditing. You're just building an honest picture of what you've inherited so that you can stabilize it honestly rather than manage it on false assumptions. Now, let me walk you through the 7 domains you're assessing. Number 1, leadership alignment. Do your principals, your superintendent, and your team share a common understanding of what special education is supposed to accomplish? Or is everyone operating from a different definition of success? Number 2, system stability. Are your core operational systems running reliably? IEP timelines, evaluation workflows, compliance calendars? Or are you one staff absence away from missing a legal deadline? Number 3, data health. Do you have accurate, accessible data on your students, your staff, your outcomes, or are decisions being made based on estimates and institutional memory? Number 4, staffing fitness. One the most directors underestimate. It's not head count, but it's the actual workload. Caseload counts students, but workload counts time, and they're not the same thing. 2 providers with identical caseload numbers can have a 40% utilization gap between them. And unfortunately, that gap is invisible until someone measures it. I'll do a full video soon on workload calculation because it deserves it and I'm super passionate about it, but please understand this now. Managing caseload without managing workload means you don't actually know if your staff are okay. Domain number 5, program integrity. Are your students receiving the services or IEP's mandate in the settings specified at the frequency required? Are we in compliance? Because the gap between what IEPs say and what actually happens is where your legal exposure lives. Domain 6, culture strength. Is there openness or guardedness with conversations with staff? Do people volunteer concerns or do they choose their words carefully? Remember, culture is not soft, and a department with a culture problem will hemorrhage staff, and you will spend your entire budget and all of your time on recruiting and onboarding. Finally, number 7, partnership health. How does staff describe relationships with families, with their general education colleagues, and with community agencies? Special education should never work in isolation, and the quality of those partnerships directly affects student outcomes. By the end of week 6, you should have documented findings across all 7 domains. And you want to make sure these are written notes, not just mental maps. Write everything down because this becomes the foundation for your strategic planning process. And it's also your professional protection. Phase 3, the strategist, weeks 8 through 12. Now it's time to act, but strategically, not reactively. 3 things to focus on in phase 3. First, your first moves, your initial moves. 2 or 3 changes that you can make in the next 90 days that will have the highest impact and build the most credibility with your team. They should be visible and achievable, and they should address something that your staff told you during your meetings that really matters to them. Finding those quick, visible wins early on will create immediate trust and appreciation with your colleagues and the district community. So let's lock in and really prioritize those. Number 2, budget framing. You now have the data to know where the gaps are, the staffing gaps, the compliance gaps, the program gaps. That data is where you bring to your superintendent when you need resources. Not stress, not feelings or emotions, but the numbers. Data never lies. Third, governance rhythm. How are you going to keep a pulse on department health moving forward? What are your standing structures? Your team meetings, your data reviews, your compliance audits. That will tell you early when something is drifting before it becomes a crisis. I want to be straight with you before I close. This framework doesn't make the job easy. Walking in with a diagnostic mindset is effective, but it doesn't mean your staff will immediately trust you, believe me. It doesn't mean the problems you find will be simple to fix, but what it does mean is that you'll understand what you're dealing with before you make commitments that you can't keep. Most student services directors who burn out do not burn out because the job is too hard. They burn out because they never had a structured way to understand what they have inherited. They worked harder and harder, but on the wrong things. or they worked on the right things, but in the wrong order. And they eventually ran out of capacity, they ran out of steam. Because I can tell you from my experience, believe me, burnout is real. But the job doesn't have to be as hard as everyone told you it would be. It's hard when you're flying without instruments, but this is your instrument panel. I built a written version of this framework. It's called the First 90 Days Field Guide. It's free and it walks through every phase in detail. Specific questions, diagnostic prompts, and action steps you can use from day one. Send me a message here on YouTube, on LinkedIn, wherever you found this video, and I'll send it to you right away, free of charge. No forms, no email sequence, just the guide. If this landed for you, subscribe to my channel. I'm so excited to share more resources and more mistakes that I've learned over time to help your work. Next week, I'm going to deep dive on the one vital sign that surprises new directors more than any other. I'm Eric Oxford. Thanks for watching.